Since it burst onto the scene in 2016, it's fair to say that TikTok has taken the world by storm. With more than 1 billion monthly users, the company is now worth over $250 billion, according to valuations by Bloomberg, making it the most valuable privately held company in the world. But the tech giant's success has alarmed governments, with many countries banning the app entirely over national security concerns. You see, this video isn't about TikTok's success story. In fact, there's one thing we're all getting wrong about TikTok. It's not really a social media app. Since its inception, countries around the world have come to fear the video-focused social networking service, claiming that TikTok leaks highly sensitive information about its users, including their deepest sexual desires, to the world's biggest authoritarian regime, the Chinese government. And while social media has always been one of the worst culprits, most users now accept that all the apps on our phones track us in some way. TikTok's data collection techniques are particularly dystopian. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Tech Funnels. Today, we will be covering the dark side of tech. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. China is big for business. It's a country with a population of over 1.4 billion potential customers, an abundant amount of cheap labor, weak unions, world-class logistics, and lower taxes. But if you want to do business there as a foreign company, you're required to form a joint venture with a local Chinese firm, transfer your technology to them, and appoint a local Chinese Communist Party representative to manage all of the data you collect. Boeing, Qualcomm, and Pfizer are just 3 U.S. companies that have employed dozens of CCP members in their Chinese facilities. And if you don't believe it, just Google it. You see, under China's cybersecurity laws, companies, whether domestic or foreign, that collect data and have operations in mainland China must allow government access on request. This form of state-sponsored forced technology transfer and data sharing is truly a devil's bargain. It's allowed China to build the world's biggest video surveillance system on the planet, known as Skynet, with over 200 million cameras deployed across the country, and a facial recognition system that's capable of scanning the faces of China's entire population in seconds. And closely related to this mass monitoring program is China's social credit system, used to monitor, assess, and rank its citizens based on all aspects of their lives. People with high scores get benefits and priority access to certain services, while people with low scores are prevented from purchasing airline tickets or traveling to a different area of the country due to a breach of trust. You see, for many, China is big for business. But for the Chinese, data is big for business. So big for business, in fact, that for years, the Chinese Communist Party has prioritized cyber warfare as a means to conduct espionage operations against governments and steal commercial secrets for its own profit.
It makes it easier for an intelligence service to either recruit or hack into systems used by a government employee.
Mass monitoring, Skynet, and a social credit system that ranks its citizens kind of sounds like an episode of Black Mirror combined with the Terminator. Except this is real. But what does this have to do with you? Well, despite a U.S. law banning Chinese tech companies like Huawei and ZTE from getting approval for network equipment licenses in the country, China still has a one-way intelligence backdoor into almost every country in the form of TikTok.
You're copying and pasting things back and forth. TikTok was then able to read that information,
which answers directly to Beijing.
To provide any data that the Chinese government should happen to request.
The app has been downloaded over 200 million times in the US, meaning that if each download is unique, more than half of the US population has turned over its most sensitive data to the Chinese Communist Party. Like most other social media apps, TikTok automatically gathers users' geolocation information, IP addresses, unique device identifiers, and the content of in-app messages, according to its privacy policy. But what's particularly worrisome about the app is that it collects the information you provide in the context of composing, sending, or receiving messages. Yep, TikTok can actively watch what you are writing in messages to friends, even if you never hit the send button. It also requests access to your phone's model, screen resolution, current OS, phone number, email address, location, keystroke patterns, and even contact lists. None of that seems important if you just want to watch 15-second clips. But it's no exaggeration to say that TikTok is a danger to your privacy. And it all comes down to the algorithm. What makes TikTok particularly insidious is that it takes the monitoring learning function of other apps and websites, which learn about users by what they actually click on, to the next level. TikTok only needs one important piece of information to figure out what a user wants, and that's the amount of time you linger over a piece of content. Every second you hesitate or rewatch, the app tracks you. Through that one powerful signal, TikTok can learn your most hidden interests and emotions, and drive users of any age deep into rabbit holes of content, in which feeds are heavily dominated by videos about a specific topic or theme. Considering that TikTok continues to gain popularity among kids around the world, it gives China eyes into millions of homes around the world, including yours. Teens often only glance at TikTok's terms and conditions before allowing the app access to their microphone, camera, and tons of personal information. Using its powerful algorithms, TikTok can quickly drive minors, among the biggest users of the app, into endless spools of content about sex and drugs. But it gets worse. TikTok recently introduced a plan to collect biometric data from its users' content, including things like face prints and voice prints. And under Chinese law, TikTok is required to give the Chinese government access to all of this information. Do you think it's possible that this data could be weaponized in the future, to be used against decision makers in the highest levels of business and government? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. TikTok algorithm also has the ability to promote propaganda, as well as censor information. You see, TikTok is banned in China. Anyone whose cell provider is China Mobile, China Telecom, or China Unicom cannot use the app. Instead, it operates under a different name, Douyin. This gives the Chinese Communist Party total control over what its own citizens are exposed to, and allows the CCP to determine the type of content users are exposed to on the Western version of TikTok. The app can spread messages of the Chinese Communist Party and often shadow ban or boost videos depending on their political messages. And to expand its influence, China has built a network of social media personalities who parrot the government's perspective on everything from human rights abuses to world affairs. An investigation by Vice News recently uncovered a coordinated campaign to pay Russian TikTok influencers to post videos pushing pro-Russian narratives about the war in Ukraine. Experiments have shown that TikTok's algorithm can hurtle users from a politically neutral feed into a far-left or far-right fire hose of content. And the app is shockingly good at reading your preferences and steering you to one of its many sides. Whether you're interested in socialism, Excel tips, conservative politics, or a specific celebrity. The goal, they say, is to ensure that users are exposed to new perspectives and ideas. But who decides which new perspectives and ideas? Although TikTok has claimed that it's never shared its data with the Chinese government or censored content, and would never do so if asked, can we really be sure? YouTube, which is owned by Google, mostly collects your personal data for its own purposes, like tracking your online search history or even your location to serve you relevant ads. But TikTok, which is majority owned by Chinese tech giant ByteDance, mostly allows third-party trackers to collect your data. And from there, it's hard to say what happens with it. Many governments remain concerned about allowing another country to gain immense influence over the population, as propaganda and false information are extremely present on the app. But since TikTok is Chinese-based and not American or European, it doesn't answer to the same rules as other companies in Western democracies. The social media app has well and truly taken over, accumulating over 1 billion users in just a few short years. So who knows how it will affect our generation for years to come?
冰淇淋